From Southern Maryland's weather leader, this is a JB Weather Alert.
Hello and good morning. I'm Forecaster John Bordash with you in the Storm Center this morning, where I've been since 2 a.m. and before that was here until 11 last night, tracking the latest updates, the latest potential, the latest information coming in on the potential for severe storms this morning. If you can hear me fine, then let me know in the comments before we get too underway. While I wait for that, we have had a decent amount of information come in this morning on what we could be seeing and what that potential for storminess looks like, and it remains a very fluid situation. These types of setups are always very dynamic, and things are very prone to change very quickly. And I do indeed have my stormy mug out and about this morning. This not only represents today's forecast, but how I felt waking up this morning. And Becky says she can hear me fine, which is great. So what I want to start on first is that our region, let me turn the radar off quickly. Our region, everywhere kind of shaded here in this yellow color, remains under that level 2 elevated risk for seeing severe storms this morning. So again, that's your elevated risk. That includes all of Southern Maryland, really focused from DC point south and west. And that's going to be for this morning. These are going to be your severe weather threats. We're still talking about a time frame between 6 a.m., so literally right now, through about 2 o'clock to potentially see storms work on through the region. If they do indeed work through the region, which still isn't a surefire thing, it is very possible that they do and very possible that they don't. We're now less than 6 hours out, and there's still a lot of uncertainty, and that's just the nature of severe thunderstorms. But if they do, damaging winds would be the main concern. Flooding rains would be possible as well. A little bit of hail could be possible, and tornado threat's non-zero today, close to about maybe 1 or 2%, so not a very high threat, but a non-zero threat, so something we will monitor. There's your elevated flash flooding risk today. That's, again, really focused for our northeastern parts of our coverage area, but that does include all of Southern Maryland. And these are going to be your big weather headlines for today. AM storms are going to be possible, again, between about now and about 2 o'clock. The main threat would be high winds as well as that heavy rain. And if these materialize and do indeed move through, damaging winds and some ponding would be possible. Let me take you back on over here towards radar. Let me show you what it is we are tracking this morning. Let me turn the severe weather outlook off. And let me take you back here over the last 6 hours. So you went to bed, you finished watching last night's live stream. This is how things were looking. We had several things. We had one storm complex working through the Roanoke region. We had another storm complex working through the Ohio River Valley. An additional storm complex on out towards Michigan. The one we were really watching is this one out here towards Michigan that was firing up, and this was right after midnight last night. We saw this second wave. So the first wave pushed to the south. We're done talking about that one. The second wave was pushing on through. Looked like maybe this could be the more dominant system, but it just kind of fell apart. Look, and you can see how we have so many lightning strikes with this initial band here moving through Ohio, but then as we head through 1, 2, 3 o'clock, as we said yesterday, is very prone to happen with these storms. It's kind of falling apart over the mountains. We got a little bit of storm energy that able to make it over the mountains, and that moved right through the Hagerstown area. Excuse me, in the Frederick area in northern Maryland early this morning. We tracked that live. But back out here, let's just rewind this. There's your Michigan storm complex now moving through Ohio. And it's definitely taking much more of a southerly trajectory. And right now it's moving through the Charleston area and losing a little bit of steam. So we kind of, this morning right now, as we sit at 6:45, we have 2 areas of storminess essentially. One out towards West Virginia, another one that's pushing along the PA-Maryland state line north of Baltimore. And we have a new little guy. I will indeed dub this little guy TM. That's kind of fired right over here in Lower Marlboro. Let me take national radar off and let's kind of get a zoom in here. This guy's bringing some heavy rain, so heads up if you're out ahead of this storm that's pushing eastward. This right now is the only storm that we are tracking in our local region. If we track this eastward at about 30-ish miles an hour, this eventually again moves through Harwood, Lothian before 7 o'clock, getting into Deal and Shadyside just after 7 o'clock, and potentially on over towards the eastern shore by about 7:45. But that's the only game in town right now. You can kind of see how the activity kind of misses right over our region. It's, to our north and to our south and south and west. So what does that mean for today's forecast? Let me load up the futurecast here for you. We'll walk you through that. This does take a moment for me to load up into the computer system, so bear with me. And since I've been updating this pretty much all morning, this should go pretty quickly for us. Day 6, we'll just take it out towards 3. So this is the latest model data, and we'll let this load through. But you can see it initialized at 6 a.m. It had that storminess on out towards West Virginia and storminess north of Baltimore, and we still see that. Pushing this forward here, you see by 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, it takes that main storminess, moves it through Charleston. The thing we will need to watch, this is attached to an area of low pressure that sits behind it. So kind of like in the middle here, you get a little bit of a U shape from Parkersburg to the east of Charleston and north of Charlottesville here, this U. There's low pressure sitting in there, and that's going to allow this to potentially try to strengthen a little bit. As we head towards 9 o'clock, we get some sunshine out there. We get a little bit more storm energy going. Might be able to tap into that and might develop some areas of rain and storminess. By 9 o'clock, this model has showers moving into the region, and that's about it till about lunchtime when we get that last push of moisture moving on through, and then it tries to fire up some storms. But the main takeaway here is that it focuses the majority of the storm energy and the storminess out here across West Virginia and western parts of Virginia. Now, there is the potential for storminess on the eastward side of this area of low pressure as it dives southward. Maybe that brings some parts of our region some storminess by around lunchtime. I wouldn't hone in on these exact locations seeing rain at this exact time. The run before this, it had a little bit of a line of thunderstorms moving right through southern Maryland. So very fluid situation. I'm showing you this to give you a heads up of this potential with this storm as it pushes on through. But then afterwards, we start to clear out a little bit. So by 2-3 o'clock, we're starting to break out into at least a little bit of sunshine this afternoon, which leads to warm and muggy conditions. So that's a general overview right now of kind of where we sit with this forecast. It does indeed look like the worst of this storminess will stay on out to our west. Which is great news. We were really talking about that potential a lot yesterday too. I focused on that a lot because, there was a lot of hype out there about, we could see a potential derecho, crazy winds. These systems, especially in the morning, coming from the northwest, don't tend to be huge severe weather producers in our region. We've seen a setup like this this month marks 9 years since JB Weather was birthed, right? Over the 9 years, I've seen this type of setup in the month of June, morning round of thunderstorms, working on through potentially that forms from a system that's moving across the Great Lakes the night before. They tend to fall apart as we head over the mountains, and I was highlighting this a lot yesterday. And so we'll see how things play out. These situations and setups are very prone to change very quickly as well. It is very possible that where you see some of these higher radar returns, some of these darker greens out here, that maybe this fires up into something as it crosses the mountains, and then we have a little line of storms on this other side. So we'll see how all of this kind of plays out here. Most immediate right now would be this little guy out here in southern PG County. Let me get the local radar loaded up. Moving just off the Mitchellville here, tracking right over Upper Marlboro and 301, now moving into Lothian. And what I was trying to look at a little bit ago before we hopped on here was seeing if we don't just have any traffic cameras in this area to look at this little storm pushing on to this through southern Anne Arundel County, and I don't think we do. But heads up, I did see a comment as I briefly looked over that the beach is hearing a little bit of lightning, and that wouldn't, or hearing some thunder, and that doesn't surprise me given that this storm is producing some lightning and thunder as it tracks again towards Lothian, Mayo, Shadyside, Deal here over the next little bit. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll track everything. We have no watches, we have no warnings in effect right now. We will get an update from the Storm Prediction Center on the official storm outlook, and we'll see if they update that at all. just around 8 and 9 o'clock this morning. As of right now, again, our region remains under this level 2 elevated risk here. Areas shaded in yellow for this morning. Again, that main time frame we're really looking at is going to be 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. This is a high boom, high bust situation. Maybe I'm leaning a little bit more towards a bust. By that I'm meaning maybe not super high impacts, but showers and thunderstorms will be possible throughout the morning and right around the lunch hour. So stay where they were. I'll be here in the Storm Center tracking everything, and we'll see how everything shapes up. But in the meantime, I'm Forecaster John Bordash. You can always get my updates Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The links for all of those are largely JB Weather. I think Facebook, JB Weather LLC. And then the home base, the central location for all of my updates on the website, jbweather.net. And I'm sure we'll talk again soon later on this morning as we continue to learn more. But in the meantime, I'm Forecaster John Bordash. Have a nice and safe one. Stay cool out there. Stay safe. And of course, stay tuned to JB Weather for the latest information. And I'll be here keeping you updated.
Check the forecast anytime online at jbweather.net.